Welcome everybody, it's Nicola Burton for The Music Reel. I'm from Music Means Business, and today I have with me Manny from the Pushworth Group, and our very special guest today, Dr. Vinnie Monaco from the Saunders Center in Connecticut in the US. Now, a lot of you might remember Vinnie. He was in Australia until quite recently, and Vinnie was a well-renowned MC and comedian in Southeast Queensland. So Vinnie, how are you going over there?
I'm doing fantastic.
You're doing fantastic.
Even through the crisis.
Getting through the crisis. So we had you emceeing the Caxton Street Festival for a number of years, and you emceed a number of other events in Southeast Queensland, and you were a very well-known comedian in Southeast Queensland as well. But your, I guess the start that you had in the entertainment industry, you were a male stripper for many years. That's right?
Well, it's actually how I put myself through chiropractic college.
There you go. So that worked very well, obviously. So then you were a comedian. You worked in the clubs in New York and then Las Vegas and then basically all over the world. But your main claim to fame is as a wellness coach, and you specialize in, facilitating people through a whole series of health and wellness care. And today we're very grateful to you for staying up late to talk to us. We're going to talk about hecklers, the art of heckling. And we're going to be talking about, because we're all about what's going on in the music business, right? All the things that hecklers have to deal with every time they go out. And even though at the moment there's no live gigs, this is an opportunity for us to reimagine the music business and put some new strategies in place so that when we do eventually exit, we'll be able to, handle things in a different way, perhaps. Maybe that's the wisdom of this COVID experience. So you are a man who I know who's had some pretty amazing experiences with hecklers. I mean, there's hecklers on stage, online, and also the heckler in your head. So I thought you would be a great person to talk to our musos today, our artists today, to see how that you can turn a heckler into a super fan.
So that's actually the best question to ask for any artist when they're in it. And I would also say that the best thing to do is to prep beforehand. So when there is a situation, you kind of already rehearsed it. So I mean, you're rehearsing your set list, you're rehearsing your music. Also rehearse certain comeback lines. So I highly recommend getting several of those books, those comeback lines, because you never know when you're going to need one, and you just brush up on, and even writing them out so that you have some of those taglines. So if you need to nail a heckler with it, you can nail a heckler with it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was gigging with Manny many years, and he had a very different approach to dealing with hecklers than I did. I would make friends with them. Manny, what did you do?
I was an antagonist, of course. It was quite interesting. There were certain situations where I'd encourage them to even heckle harder, and they couldn't comprehend or understand that. Yeah. So on stage, there were a bunch of hecklers for whatever reason. That's the Australian way, and I think that's the global way, is that they want to intimidate and musicians to get a result, and that's, I think, the larrikin spirit in Australians per se. So it was very interesting. So I used to basically say, hey guys, is that all you've got? I would then turn around. Well, actually, prior to turning around, I'd say, well, you've got 20 seconds to come up with something a little bit more creative. I'd turn around and there'd be a sort of silence for a moment or two until someone broke the ice, and then they'd be yelling and screaming, and then I'd turn around and then I'd come up with something quite interesting to intimidate them. And then there would be an audience connection because, you've engaged with them. So I would encourage the hecklers to keep heckling, because that's part of our culture and that's part of entertainment. And that's part of what people love to do, engage with an entertainer and etc. So a performer. So that's my way of handling hecklers, is encourage them.
But that's, a lot of people can't do that, obviously, and because
it fits your personality, man. So what's great is because you're also, from my observation of being around you, especially as a footballer, is that you like the competition. winning is very important to you. So in that situation, what your part of your essence is to go, oh, is that all you got, you little wuss? Come on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, everybody's unique. Everybody's different. Some people are more introverted than others, and some people deal with it in a completely different manner and fashion. Some people on stage intimidate people off stage that are, you know, heckling. So we deal with it, as you say, in terms of our personality. So yeah, I must agree. Yeah.
Right. And then, so it's like for someone who is not aggressive and not challenging, for them to come and try to do that, that wouldn't work. In fact, it would antagonize the audience, and then they would get buried. And the only reason I know this is from having been heckled and finding out many times what doesn't work.
I think experience absolutely.
And losing the crowd.
Yeah, I think we've both got wonderful experiences relational to what the result of I suppose, a heckling meltdown or malfunction would look like. I'd love to hear some of your stories as to what the, you know, like a heckler malfunction would look like.
Well, I'll give a quick story. I've shared this once before with Nicki. Is a while back at the Basement on the Gold Coast, I went to do a special guest appearance. So they already had the MC, they already had 3 open micers, then they had the middle act, and then they had the headliner. And the MC and the headliner were good friends of mine. And I knew the guy doing the middle. It wasn't a great friend, but it was the MC didn't really get control of the crowd the way an MC should. And there was one guy who was really drunk, and he was with his mates, and he was interrupting the MC. And the MC didn't know how to really put him in his place. So then the open micers come up, and this guy is just razzing them, and each one of them bombed. And then they took a break, and they come out, the MC comes out again, still couldn't get control, brings the middle guy out. The guy's still heckling him. And now I have a decision to make. I didn't have to go on stage. It's either I go on stage or I don't go on stage, but I went, all right, I'll go on stage. But I was in one of those playful moods that I didn't care. I wasn't attached to my performance. I wasn't attached to doing good. I actually resolved the fact that I might bomb because everybody else did. I come on stage, and of course he's right away, here's the American accent, oh, you bloody Yank and everything else. And all that came out was I just looked at him and I go, wow, sounds like you haven't had enough to drink. You're still effing standing. And he laughed, his mates laughed, the whole crowd laughed because they knew that was ridiculous because he's totally pissed drunk. And he goes, oh, you're funny. I go, yeah, and you're not. Oh, no. So just boom. After that, you know, he tried to go again. I go, dude, you know, I've rehearsed this. I'm okay on my own. I appreciate the help.
Yeah.
Chill out. I got this.
Yeah.
Right? And then someone else went to heckle me. He told them to shut the F up.
Right. Yeah.
He became like a fan. I did my act, and he's the first one to jump. This guy's effing great. Come on, he's effing great. Now the MC comes up, introduces the headliner. He heckles the MC, and the headliner didn't follow with what I did. He was attached to trying to do good for his friends, and the guy heckled the whole time. I'm the only one that did that night because I had.
Because when people are heckling or trolling, they're not feeling heard. They're not feeling like anyone's listening to them. They don't have a voice. So they will engage with an artist on stage either by like threatening them if they don't play their favorite song or yelling at them for whatever. Yep. They need some attention. So it's really a mental health issue. And I think the number one thing is you've just demonstrated, Vinnie, is when someone's heckling you, it's not about you. No. And like have some strategies and resources so that if you are heckled, you know what's going on. Like Vinnie said, you've got some little catchphrases to use. You might not be able to do what Manny does. He's quite, you know, he sort of matches them with their intensity. But to understand that it's not about you, and it's really a way just to say to them, I see you. I got you. I see you. You're okay, dude. Like you said, it's okay. I've got this. You don't need to help me, but thank you. And I used to give them a job. And if they had a purpose and a job, they would feel like, okay, I'm a part of the show. A lot of younger artists really struggle with hecklers. And then you've got the hecklers online, which is kind of like a different approach where you don't engage. You just like, no, that's okay. You do you. I'm not going to engage. But I think the biggest heckler we have, and this is one that you know very much about, is the heckler that we have in our own heads. So how do you deal with that? In particular, before you're about to do a big show like a big festival, how do you prepare yourself for that? When you're inside, the heckler's going, you're not good enough. You can't do this. What do you think you're doing going up and doing this gig? And we all have that voice, by the way.
Oh, everybody has that voice. The whole key there is to when you hear that negative thought, and well, the way to look at that is whatever's going on in your head, either your energy is going to go up or your energy is going to go down. Yeah. If your energy is going up, chances are what you're hearing is the positive, hey, I'm looking forward to this. When the energy goes down, it's usually, oh my God, what's going on here? And those thoughts can make or break your performance. So what I've bombed the most is when I've gone on stage from feeling inadequate, the negative thinking, I'm wanting something from the audience, I'm wanting love, I'm wanting attention, I'm wanting, right? When I've gone on stage not caring about how they respond to me, just to go out there to have fun for me, not for them, for me, the audience comes along for that ride. And if they don't, I don't care, because it's not about them. It's about, I'm going out there to have fun. And there's a thing that if the audience sees that you're enjoying yourself, they're mesmerized by that and they want to have fun. If they know they can knock you off, or they know there's fear in you, it's like game over. Game over.
Yeah. No, that's
what I will listen to either uplifting music before I go out on stage, or I'll there's some people that I know, like when we've done Caxton Street Seafood and Wine Festival, just talking to you beforehand when you've been there, and just like, okay, I'm going to go out there and some things you've said to me.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'll tell the others, the first time I ever did Caxton Street Seafood and Wine Festival, because it's a big gig and I hadn't performed in a while, and I didn't know the beast. I didn't know what to really expect. And I was handling it like a comedy gig. And you said, you can't, it's a different animal. And I'm like, was concerned I'm not going to be funny. And you just said, first I said, I think I'm just bad. I'm like terrible. I'm not that good. And you go, that's the reason we hired you, because you're such crap. You're going to make everybody else look good. But the way you said it was that typical larrikin Australian way. And I just burst out laughing. Yeah. And you said, they're there to get drunk and try to find, someone to have fun with that night. They don't care who's on stage, don't care what you say. And it took the pressure off.
Yeah, because it's not about you. It's not about you.
No, as time went on, outrageous stuff that came out of my mouth. It was entertaining. It was fun. I had fun. They're not going to remember anything. They just wanted to hear the band and get drunk and, possibly pick up somebody. That was it. And I did my job. Introduce people. The musicians loved what I did, how I brought them up. They had a great gig. I had a good time. The audience had a good time.
And that's the key here. I think, Manny and I have been doing this for such a long time now. What we've really seen, the patterns in, what's gone on in the last 30 years, is that you just do your job to a high standard, a high level, and you, like, mental health wise, you don't worry about it. It's not about you. You've got to have a strategy to deal with your emotional triggers, so that when you go out, it's not about you. It's about the show. It's about being there for the audience and facilitating a great time for them. So, all right. So we've got some lockdown, lowdown questions to ask you, Vinny, in this time.
Okay.
So, because we're all stuck at home. So, Manny might be able to sort of tell you how bad my cooking's been, because I don't normally cook very much. A lot of people are cooking because they're stuck at home. What's been the one dish that you've destroyed the most during lockdown? That's been the most disgusting?
What's the one dish that's been the most disgusting? I can't say that I per se, because my girlfriend's a phenomenal cook. So she's been doing cooking. All I'd say is one, we've been doing a lot of baking, so I've learned a lot. I'd say I just make a mess. I don't mean to, but I go to pick something up and I spill it or I drop it, and she's like, "What is it with you? You just..."
Right. Okay, because
So
I was
we
hoping
haven't.
for. Sorry, go on.
No, so I just I'm trying to think if there's anything that we did make a couple of cakes, and we thought we did follow the recipe, and the cake ended up being about like that thin, and we thought we really messed up. But then later on, we're watching a TV program and they're showing this chef doing something, and the layers were that thin. So
Right.
what?
So it wasn't.
Screw up. Yeah.
So, Manny, tell me what have been the worst things you've had to eat in the last month and a half?
Oh, look, I don't think there's anything bad.
It's not been great.
I think there's been a steady increase in the standard of your culinary talents.
Oh my God.
I mean, it can't get any worse, I guess. But yeah, no, food's food, and it's my favourite thing to eat, basically, food.
Right,
So
okay.
Yeah, of course.
I can't
All right, so Vinnie, if you were a time traveler and you could go back to December 2019, what message would you give yourself then in light of all of this?
Wow, what message would I give myself in December of 2019? Don't go to China. I don't.
And the most embarrassing lockdown moment, Vinny.
Most embarrassing lockdown moment.
G-rated, please.
Other than this one.
Other than this one, no, I just say not being able to get the haircut. It's just like without water and gel, it would just look like a chia pet.
I get it.
Grow a beard.
Well, look, Vinnie, thank you so much for spending your night time talking to us over in Connecticut. We really appreciate it. And look, anyone who is struggling with heckling or online trolling or that heckler inside of your head, I'll post the links to Vinnie's websites and his YouTube channel.
Sure.
Just so that he offers, I think, complimentary sessions on Zoom for anyone who wants to talk to him anyway. And it always helps as an artist to get a different perspective about emotional triggering, because the most, I guess, vulnerable you can be is to put yourself out there on stage or put yourself out there online.
Oh, absolutely. What I find the key, if there's one thing, people always say, what's the thing that you do? There's people get stressed out, they get uptight. So there's the body work that I do. But what I find, whether it's the body work, whether it's the wellness coaching, even with the comedy or sometimes consultations. So I do free complimentary 30-minute sessions to see if there's a fit and what they want. But it's getting a person to go back to their natural state, which is ease.
Yeah.
So when the body gets calm, when the mind gets calm, it feeds one another. And from that space of ease and that space of calm, possibilities open up. Higher brain function comes on, and your wisdom can come out, and your genius can come out. When we're uptight and stressed out, higher brain function goes. We're in a reptilian kill or be killed mode, and it's then and you don't function at your best. So that's
I guess the tip for music business is you are going to deal with hecklers online or on stage. So tune in with what Dr. Vinnie is talking about, because it'll help you to be able to deal with anything that comes your way on stage or online, and also what's going on in here for you to be able to maximize what's going on with your music business.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Vinnie. Thank you, Manny.
You're very welcome.
And we'll see you.
Pleasure.